What's up, my bodybuilding friends? This is Nick at BarBend.com, and today we are talking about the best supplements for bodybuilding. What we're talking about here is supplements that can help with muscle gain and fat loss and also recovery as well. So we got a whole range of different supplements here today in just about every category of supplement you can ask for. We've got protein powders, pre-workouts, we've got sleep aids, creatine, and a lot more. So stick around, we're gonna make you an expert so you know which supplements are gonna be right for you. I'm not a doctor, and this is a disclaimer to say this is not medical advice, and I'm not trying to be a medical professional here. Before you start any new supplement regimen, or nutrition regimen, or exercise regimen, any kind of regimen, if you're making just about any changes to the way that you conduct yourself with regards to your health, go to see a doctor to give you some advice that can be individualized based on your, medical history, medications you take, and just the individual person that you are. With that said, I'm just gonna do you a favor and let you know what the number one pick is on this list for supplements for bodybuilding because I respect your time. You're a busy person, looking to get to the gym. It's this one right here. Huge Supplements Rec is a pre-workout. And the thing is, of all the supplements out there, provided and assuming your calories and macronutrients are in check, the main thing that's going to help you build more muscle is not going to be something that might potentially help with vasodilation or something. It's whatever helps you to get a bit more work done in the gym. Now, to be fair, those vasodilation supplements can help, but my point is, what matters the most outside of your regular diet is whatever can help you to do more work in the gym. So what we have here is a very effective pre-workout that's very strongly dosed with a wide variety of ingredients. So there's stuff for, naturally there's caffeine, quite a lot of it, but it's slow release caffeine. So some of it will come on at the beginning of the workout, some will start to come on a little bit later on. So it's meant to have less of a giant spike and crash than some other products out there. That's due to the dicaffeine malate. You've also got other ingredients here, like all the best ones like Beta-Alanine and Hydrous for some extra power output, potentially according to some research, Beta-Alanine for endurance, citrulline for blood flow and nitric oxide production, and so on. So we think a solid pre-workout with a wide range of non-caffeine ingredients is your best bet to be the best supplement for bodybuilders. So that's a little hint of what's to come in this video. For now, let's have a really short little aside about what to consider before buying supplements for bodybuilding. The first thing is assuming that you're a competitive bodybuilder, and you don't have to be to engage in bodybuilding because it's quite a healthful activity in general to focus on hypertrophy for a little bit, helps keep the joints happy, that kind of stuff. But if you're going to a competition, when you're thinking about buying supplements, consider how close to competition you are. So as an easy example here, sometimes people cut creatine out in the weeks before a competition. Not always, but sometimes. So creatine might not be the best pick at that point. If you are looking at fat burners, those are typically a better pick in the last remaining weeks as you're closing into a competition. Whereas if you're a few months away, then you're likely gonna be more interested in gaining a bit of mass to cut away the fat later on. So fat burners might be more interesting in the last few weeks. Creatine might have been dropped at that point. Also in the last few weeks of competition, people sometimes tend to have trouble sleeping occasionally because they're really low on calories and typically doing a lot of exercise that the body would rather you have more calories for, let's be honest. So like a sleep aid, which might not be quite as necessary at the beginning of their prep when they tend to be eating a lot more and it's not quite as all-consuming an endeavor as things can get in those last few weeks when you're sort of redlining it, you know what I mean? So we've got a sleep supplement here, we've got creatine for when the time is right, a pre-workout, protein powder, and a whole lot more supplements. But let's circle back to the number one pick, which again is Rec here. So there is no shortage of pre-workouts out there that they'll find an ingredient that sounds promising and has interesting research supporting it, but they don't include the appropriate dosage. So citrulline is a really good example here. So an amino acid found in watermelon, it's pretty interesting with regard to potentially increasing blood flow, helping vasodilation in that regard, helping with vascularity, and also just generally muscle recovery as well, getting more blood and oxygen to the muscle. The effective dose though is a good 5 grams. And there's a lot of pre-workouts out there, they'll say, check it out, we have citrulline. You've heard about that, right? Here's some citrulline. It'll be like 1 gram. So it's wise to not just know what ingredients to look for, but also the dosages to look for. Rect here has a very considerable 8 grams of citrulline per serving. You can tell they've done their research and they're really dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And they have the same approach to all the other ingredients here as well, right? So the most popular pre-workout ingredients, if you didn't know this, in addition to caffeine, citrulline, beta-alanine, and beta-ene anhydrous. We talked about the citrulline, the beta-ene anhydrous that has some interesting links to power output. They've done studies on bench press and squat in particular and found some positive results there. It comes from beets in nature and some greens too. Then there's the beta-alanine, which is it's a non-essential amino acid that has been seen to help with endurance, especially strength endurance in that 10 to 20 rep mark. And when you're focused on hypertrophy, a lot of the time, if not most of the time, the reps tend to be in the higher end. So beta-alanine can be really useful in that regard, and also for helping with cardio as well, and especially in that like 1 to 3 minute power output end, which sounds a lot to me like high intensity interval training, which many bodybuilders prefer as a means for shredding some extra fat. So the ingredients here are very well dosed. They're all in line with the research, which is like, 2.5 to 3 grams of beta-ene anhydrous, at least 1.6 grams of beta-alanine. This exceeds all of those doses that are normally seen in research. There's also some other stuff here though as well. I'm not gonna go through every single ingredient here. We've got a full article on our site for that. I encourage you to check out in the description below. But just to really quickly touch on, they've got some adaptogens here, which are an interesting area of supplementation in that they can potentially help the body to manage stress from a difficult workout, stress from having to count your calories all day, every day, stress from a hard day at the office, this kind of stuff. So there's some lion's mane mushroom in here that might help with that. And a lot of bodybuilders these days, they're finding that supplementing with adaptogens, especially the closer to competition day, can be really helpful, right? So you got all like the classic pre-workout ingredients in this product, but also a lot of more interesting, more novel ones that aren't quite as common in pre-workouts. They all come together here. The main thing though, this is 350 milligrams of caffeine. So that might be a lot for some folks. But as I mentioned earlier, number one, 100 milligrams of that is slow release, so it'll come on a little bit later. And number two, the ingredients here are so effectively dosed, you could have a little more than half of a scoop. You'll still get effective doses of all the ingredients and you'll get less caffeine. So that's a strategy you can consider taking as well. In any case, the best pre-workout for bodybuilding, in our opinion, is Erect from Huge Supplements. Next up, the best pre-workout without caffeine, because you can get sick of caffeine. The other thing is with fat burner supplements, which a lot of people take, especially as they close on a competition day, most fat burners have a considerable amount of caffeine as well. So there are a lot of folks that don't want to have to be taking extra caffeine on top of that in their pre-workout. There's no shortage of caffeine-free pre-workouts out there on the market though, for a variety of reasons. Our favorite one is right here. This is Swolverine as a company, and it's just called Swolverine-Free. So as I mentioned, the ingredients I said in the previous pre-workout, this one has 5 grams of citrulline, which is a good amount based on the research. A nice 3.2 grams of beta-alanine. The beta-ene anhydrous is good. They also got some taurine and also eleuthero root, which is Siberian ginseng, which is, it's generally considered an adaptogen. It's not a stimulant, but many find that can help to delay fatigue. So it doesn't work the same way as a stimulant. It doesn't typically interfere with sleep. But the eleuthero root here, Siberian ginseng, coupled with taurine, these are 2 ingredients that can help with sort of like mental acuity, focus, and attenuating fatigue as opposed to getting you really wired and stimulated. So we really like that approach of throwing in an adaptogen instead of a stimulant, which can have, again, similar effects but not interfere with sleep. So Swolverine-Free, if you're kind of over caffeine in your pre-workouts, this is our favorite non-stim pre-workout for bodybuilding. Now I know I'm really throwing a lot of information at you in this video. We have, my God, so many supplements in this video. So if you want to get a written version of this article so you can just kind of go through it at your own pace or jump around to what's most important to you, we have a written version for you for that purpose. So just go to Google and write in BarBend best supplements for bodybuilding, and it's gonna be the #1 result, and you can just go there and click everything around. All right, next up, we're gonna have the best fat burner supplement for bodybuilding. For us, it's Huge Supplements Eliminate, which we really like. A word on fat burners. Now, if you guys compete, then you know what I'm talking about here. Your calories are what's important here, right? Fat burners, perhaps more than for any other demographic, they can be the most useful for bodybuilders because bodybuilders are getting their calories really, really, really closely dialed in. The average person will see a fat burner and say, great, I'll take it and lose some fat. And it doesn't work like that unless you're really closely following your macros and your calories and you're relatively low in body fat already. That's a bodybuilder. So these sorts of supplements, they can help to induce a little bit of extra thermogenesis and burn a few extra calories off, which can be very meaningful, especially as competition day approaches and like you just cannot eat less than, let's say, 1,500 calories without feeling terrible, but you're supposed to be on 1,200, something like that, or 1,300. Supplements like this, they can help to burn an extra, potentially an extra like 1 or 2, maybe 300 calories. I encourage you to check out the research on the ingredients in this because they really are well dosed and well researched. They don't have as much research supporting them as like creatine or like as the fact that protein helps to build muscle. But there are some compelling studies out there on some of the ingredients here. Like the most popular ones you find in fat burning products. We're talking about green tea extract and red chili pepper extract. These have been seen to have like slight but significant benefits when it comes to thermogenesis, so burning more calories than you would otherwise have. Also fat oxidation, like coaxing the body to burn more fat for fuel than carbohydrates than it would have if you hadn't taken a supplement. And also a little bit appetite suppression. They're not quite as well known for the appetite suppression, but nonetheless, the way that fat burners work is it's generally in one or more of the three categories of thermogenesis, fat oxidation, and appetite suppression. And the ingredients here, they heavily lean on the thermogenesis and the fat oxidation. So other ingredients would include the grains of paradise extract, which some research has found that when you get the extract out of the grains of paradise and use that, it can help to like mobilize brown fat tissue and also potentially help us to burn more calories than we would have otherwise. Again, that's thermogenesis. There are other ingredients here as well. I don't want to sit here all day because as you can see, we have a whole lot of ingredients here, but Eliminate does do a good job at adequately dosing the ingredients and including the most research-backed ingredients when it comes to fat burners. It's not a silver bullet, you're gonna do the rest of the work, but if you're a bodybuilder, you're doing the rest of the work and you're probably the most likely to find that product this can have some benefit. Next up, we have the best whey protein for bodybuilders. It's this one right here from Swolverine. This is their whey isolate, right? What we like about this, well, it's whey isolate. So if you're not so aware of this kind of stuff, there are three kinds of whey out there. It's whey concentrate is the least expensive one and it has the most carbs and fat. You can process away a lot of the carbs and fat with whey isolate. Then there's hydrolyzed whey, which has some enzymes added to it to basically make it partially pre-digested. It absorbs faster, but not in a way that's really especially practical unless you're like an Olympic level athlete working out twice a day, you know what I mean? Also, hydrolyzed whey is just very expensive, it doesn't taste very good. Whey isolate is the best protein powder for bodybuilders in our opinion. What's cool about this is for one, the protein per calorie is very, very, very high. So you're getting, it's just 110 calories per scoop. It is 26 grams of protein, just half a gram of fat and 1 gram of carbohydrate. Some of the flavors might have an extra gram of sugar depending on which one you get. This one's honey, cinnamon, peanut butter, which we're really big fans of. But in addition to the protein density, because like you typically, especially as prep approaches, you don't want to have extraneous carbs or fat or no more than you want it to. This is pretty much as protein dense as a chicken breast. Tastes better though. The other reason we selected this brand is because they include digestive enzymes. So you have protease and papain in this, so it's 10 milligrams of digestive enzymes. And yeah, there has been some research suggesting that you absorb more protein and it also absorbs faster when there are digestive enzymes added into it, right? So that's why we added to this one. I think especially as the system gets more stressed as competition day approaches, stuff like that with the enzymes can be more helpful, but also just to anyone, anywhere, it can be helpful if you're taking whey protein to have digestive enzymes. Naturally, talk to your doctor in case you have sensitivities and stuff, but the research is pretty promising in that regard, and those are all the reasons why we think Swolverine's whey isolate is the best whey protein powder for bodybuilders. All right, next up, we're gonna talk about the best recovery supplement for bodybuilders. So this one comes from a supplement company called Caged. I'm talking about Re-Kaged. So this is in-caged. This is the mid-workout product. That's the wrong one. Re-Kaged. Re-Kaged is our favorite post-workout product. So this is basically protein powder, right? A lot of people, I mean, you're probably on a very high protein diet if you're trying to lose fat for competition. As you may know, many people recommend that you have well over a gram of protein per pound of body weight if you're really on the lower end of body fat and trying to retain as much muscle as humanly possible. So it's always good to have a bit of extra protein. And the way that Re-Kaged differs from other protein powders is that, I mean, it's whey isolate, right? So it really is very low in carbohydrates and fat. You're getting 28 grams of protein for 2 grams of carbohydrates and 1 gram of fat. And then added in a couple of extra ingredients in here that could potentially help to improve recovery. We've also got some digestive enzymes here to help it absorb well. There's also some glutamine in here, which it might play a role in helping to build new muscle tissue. These days, most of the research on glutamine suggests that it could be pretty good for gut health as well. And again, you know, really low calorie diets, really stretching the system a lot, your gut can usually use as much help as it can get. So the glutamine and enzymes could be good for that. And then there's some creatine and beta-alanine anhydrous, which, as I mentioned, those are common ingredients in pre-workouts, but they actually, a lot of people don't know this, you don't need to take them pre-workout. You probably knew that about creatine, but you don't actually need to take that pre-workout. You can take them any time of day. So the idea with this is after you finish at the gym, you're gonna take some protein and it'll have some extra ingredients in there that might help your gut and might help your performance the next time you're at the gym. So in this way, the protein there helps you to recover your muscles, and then the other ingredients helps you give you a little bit extra in the tank for the next time you go to the gym. Favorite post-workout supplement for bodybuilders is Re-Kaged. Multivitamins are another curious aspect here. Probably as soon as they were released onto the market, I'm sure bodybuilders were the first ones to start taking multivitamins. Typically, like historically, bodybuilders would take a lot of extra B vitamins throughout the day. In any case, our favorite multivitamin for bodybuilders is this huge supplements one. It's called a Huge Multi. Does it have plenty of B vitamins? Yes, indeed it does, a whole suite of them. But also we've got plenty of other nutrients here that have links to like increased performance and increased recovery as well. So in particular, I want to talk about like there's vitamin D here, which you may know has pretty strong links to sleep and bone strength and also testosterone production. Plenty of zinc as well, which has like similar benefits. And then there are antioxidants, which may potentially help with like recovery and inflammation. So vitamin C is an antioxidant, and there's plenty of that in here as well. But in addition to that, they've got some alpha lipoic acid, which is also a source of antioxidants. And there's also got plenty of ginger extract here as well, which is like a pretty powerful anti-inflammatory that a lot of people take, be it for like managing arthritis or just to generally reduce inflammation. So again, close to competition day, you're getting pretty beat up. So a lot of people like as much inflammation help as they can get. Lastly, I mean, there's a lot on here that I haven't gone through, but there are some phytonutrients on here that you don't normally see on multivitamins because they're not technically vitamins or minerals. But you've probably heard of lycopene before, right? Which is a pretty powerful nutrient for overall health, and it is found in like tomatoes and watermelons and fruits and veggies that are red. You get lycopene here, you get lutein, which is good for the eyes, and even some CoQ10, which gets a lot of attention as a means for improving heart health. So we just really like the Huge Multi for just about anyone. But yeah, especially if you're like working out a lot, you get a competition coming up, even if you don't have a competition coming up, this can help to fill any gaps in your diet that might be there. Next up, sleep aids. The more you're stressing your body, the more it can be handy to have some help going to sleep. And we got a really nice product here from Transparent Labs called Sleep Aid, as it were. Now, Transparent Labs it's a pretty cool supplement company. They are very transparent with all the ingredients, not just what's in it, but the precise amounts. And if you go to like the product page on the website, they'll have links to studies that justify why they included every ingredient and at the amount that is in there. So we really like it. Sleep Aid, naturally it has some melatonin, which is like a hormone that's naturally produced in the brain that helps you to sleep. It like keeps track of the internal clock when it's time to sleep. But our melatonin production can very easily get disrupted by artificial lights, which we are around every single day of our lives, right? So melatonin can be really helpful as a sleep supplement. There's just 3 milligrams in this, and that's also spread over 3 capsules. So what's nice is that it's about the capsules that it's easy to measure out exactly how much of these ingredients you want, right? In addition to that, you've got some tart cherry powder, which also can potentially assist with melatonin production. There's some glycine, which among other effects has like pretty interesting reports about like helping to make your dreams nicer. Like there's worth Googling the stories about that. Glycine must be pretty great for sleep. There's also some L-theanine as well, which can help to sort of even you out and sort of calm the mind a bit. Typically, a lot of people take theanine with caffeine because it has a great reputation for easing the jitteriness that sometimes accompanies a big hit of caffeine, like help you to focus more if you say, start your day at the office with a bunch of caffeine, you take some theanine and you're gonna be more useful and productive. What that also means though is it just generally helps to calm the brain a little bit if there's a lot going on. So all these ingredients are the reason why we like Transparent Labs Sleep Aid as the best sleep supplement for bodybuilders. Let's do another sleep aid because certainly when calories are getting lower, protein's getting crazy high, there's a lot of extra cardio. You'd think all that exercise would make it easy to sleep, but it can really stress the system sometimes. We think the best melatonin-free sleep supplement for bodybuilders is one from Nested Naturals called Luna. There's no shortage of folks who try to avoid melatonin, right? Now, for me, it's my favorite way to get to sleep, if I'm taking a supplement that is. Not everyone wants melatonin. This is a solid sleep aid. What it's got here instead is valerian extract, which is a very well-known sedative is a bit of a strong word, but there's a significant research that suggests that it can decrease time to sleep and decrease the frequency of waking up throughout the night and potentially make it easy to go back to sleep when you do wake up during the night, like to go to the bathroom or something. There's also other ingredients with similar benefits attached to them. So we're talking about passion flower, hops extract, some lemon balm extract, some chamomile extract from your favorite nighttime tea, and also some theanine, which as I mentioned earlier, although some people consider it a stimulant, it's actually more about mellowing out the brain, whether that's in the face of stimulants or on your way to sleep. So we really like this one. It's also vegetarian friendly, which is nice. And we recommend this one if you're not crazy with melatonin, but you still want a sleep aid because this is a bit of a less dramatic effect that melatonin can have on folks. And it's also been third-party tested for banned substances and stuff like that. So you can be confident that you're not gonna accidentally test positive for anything at your show. All right, so we have talked about plenty of pre-workouts that contain beta-alanine, but if you just want beta-alanine, which I would totally understand, like if you're sick of caffeine or you don't wanna mess around with beta-ine anhydrous or other weird extracts that find their way into pre-workouts, beta-alanine, I mean, after caffeine and creatine, probably the supplement that gets the most attention in the realm of ergogenic aids, like sports performance. So if you want to just use Beta-Alanine, the best Beta-Alanine supplement is from Swolverine. We are big fans of it. It is soy-free, vegan, non-GMO, gluten-free, and that's it. It's everything else free. It's just Beta-Alanine. One scoop is 5 grams here, 5,000 milligrams. There's no flavoring, there's no sweeteners. Some people might be disappointed that it doesn't have any flavoring in it, but plenty of other folks, especially when bodybuilding, especially when getting close to competition day, they have like a very strict list of the things they'll allow themselves to consume and things they won't. Like I know plenty that just won't even have stevia or any natural flavoring, right? So this is just Beta-Alanine, so you can decide what to do with it. Chuck it in a shake with everything else that you normally have, put it in some water, whatever. The main things to know with Beta-Alanine, I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, it does produce usually a tingling sensation on the skin, which not everybody likes. It is completely harmless and it's very temporary. But yeah, if that wigs you out when you get pre-workouts, you're not gonna wanna get straight Beta-Alanine. The dosage, according to most research, 1.6 grams seems fine. 3 grams seems like a better minimum. This is a 5 gram scoop, and obviously you can just judge how much of the scoop you want to fill up or how many scoops you want to have. But it looks like 3 grams is the right amount to have, but you feel very free to have more than that. And if you want to get some Beta-Alanine, reckon this nice, simple, stripped down product without any frills is the best Beta-Alanine for bodybuilders. Next up on the list is creatine. If you're a fan of creatine and you don't want to get it inside a pre-workout or inside a post-workout, this here is your best bet for basic stripped down creatine, some huge supplements. The product is called Creatine. Guess why? It's just creatine, that's it, there's nothing else in there. There are plenty of brands that, again, they will flavor their creatine or they'll mix it into another product. But I think more than any other individual workout ingredients like citrulline and beta-alanine, I feel like most people take the creatine as is. Partly that's because it is flavorless, it's completely unflavored, so it's not even that difficult to dry scoop and just have a sip of water. I've done that myself. Not everybody has creatine as they approach competition day. Like some people feel it makes them bloated, other people feel that it's just like the perfect supplement to make your muscles seem like a bigger and more defined. So it's up to you. You already know if you want creatine or not. But if you're shopping for some, yeah, Huge Supplements is the best creatine just because it's just like regular, straight, no frills, and it's also made in the USA in a good manufacturing practices facility. So, you know, it's not coming from anywhere weird. If they are out of creatine, by the way, if the company runs out of creatine, it is very, very popular. They also have creatine pills, which truthfully is my favorite way to take creatine, because then I can just put it in my morning pills with all of my vitamins, my Lexapro and all the other stuff, and just take it all at once and not have to think about it. So I prefer pills myself, but the creatine here, as a powder, also great. Anyway, Huge Supplements. That's the best place to get creatine if you are a bodybuilder. We made it to the end, everybody. We got the last product here for you, and that product is the best essential amino for bodybuilders. We're talking about supplements with amino acids in them, and the best one for you is Transparent Labs again. This one here is BCAA and Glutamine. It's true that BCAAs aren't as popular as they used to be for this in the broader community, but certainly among bodybuilders, they're typically happy to take whatever help they can get. And there is some evidence that getting this extra leucine here and the other branched chain amino acids can increase the odds of like retaining as much muscle as possible. So this is our favorite amino acid supplement for a couple of reasons. For one, the serving size is big, it's 8 grams of branched chain amino acids. That's a 2:1 ratio of leucine to isoleucine and valine. So if you're after amino acids, like yeah, there's very little arguing with that ratio and with that dosage. Another thing that's cool about it is it's very unlikely you're a vegan bodybuilder, but just in case you are, these are vegan BCAAs. A little known fact is that the majority of BCAAs on the market they're made from like feathers and hair. This is fermented, so it's vegan friendly as well. Or if you just generally find other BCAAs to be not super palatable. There's fermented BCAAs. They've added in some extra glutamine and also some coconut water powder here as well, just to round it out, in addition to 1,500% of the recommended intake of vitamin C. So that's a big part of why we like it. You are probably aware that bodybuilders will frequently take much more than the recommended daily minimum of nutrients, just because of the extraordinary stresses they're putting their system under and the extraordinary gains and benefits and form they want their body to take, right? So this gives you an extra 1,600% of the daily vitamin C, and because vitamin C is an antioxidant, there's evidence to suggest that it can have like anti-inflammatory properties and help a little bit with recovery, right? Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, and you gotta eat a lot of vegetables, but the extra help from the vitamin C, the extra help from the branched chain amino acids, A lot of people are content and they feel like a bit more secure in their like fat loss plan when they have a product like this. So this is a big dose of branched chain amino acids. They are vegan friendly. You get some extra vitamin C there to help with recovery, and there are no artificial flavors or sweeteners, which I probably should have said first because a lot of folks, they'd cut out all artificial flavors and sweeteners just on the very slight chance they might potentially negatively affect something. And that's especially unusual for a BCAA supplement because BCAAs, they tend to not taste pretty good. If you've ever had them on their own, they're very, very bitter, and usually you need like a lot of artificial flavors and sweeteners to make them palatable. But Transparent Labs has figured out a way to do so naturally without having any sucralose or aspartame or acetylsulfame potassium or other artificial sweeteners. So that's all the reasons why we think this is a pretty impressive product. And the best essential amino supplement bodybuilders is BCAA and glutamine from Transparent Labs. All right, well, that does it for our video on the best supplements for bodybuilders. Just remember that you know a lot about your own nutrition. There's a lot of normally like caveats I would put out here, like just make sure your calories and macros are in check before you start thinking about supplements. That's what I would do for a lot of videos. For this one, you guys already know what you're doing, but I do need to emphasize, I hope that you have a good trainer, a good nutrition coach, and above all, I hope you have a doctor that you're able to speak to get some advice before you embark upon any new competitions or just any new supplements in general. All of these supplements can have a wide array of effects. Some people can tolerate some ingredients better than others. So again, know thyself, get samples when you can, and see what works best for you and your goals. You already know all this stuff. Anyway, look, good luck on competition day, man. If you want to see the full written version of this article, you can Google it. Write in BarBend best supplements for bodybuilding. It'll come right up. That's it for me, man. That's the entire video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.